Hi ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Share Your Grinn. Today we're going to be talking about a fantastic show that I love to pieces called Fire Force. We're going to be talking about release date stuff, that there's going to be a season 3, it's confirmed, it's just debated when it's going to be and how long the wait is going to be and what it's going to be about. So I want to answer those questions in this video. Of course, I will give you an upcoming spoiler warning. We always do it in this way. So let me tell you what that way is. Essentially, we start off by talking about release date stuff, just so I don't have to hold on to you guys for too long. Talk about release date stuff, and then I kind of want to talk about what I think about the last season, because I just want to kind of talk to people about it, because I liked it so much. I also had some thoughts about some stuff. But anyways, then the third thing is we're going to cover what is most likely going to be the centerpiece for Season 3 / what are we going to expect, what are going to be the trials and tribulations that these characters have to go through, and all that fun stuff. So yeah, and that's what we're going to kind of lay out like that. But let's start with, will there be a Fire Force Season 3? Boom! Yes, there will be. I cannot wait. I am so excited. I'm so happy because it did leave off on like, a lot of animes do this thing where they like kind of like perfectly queue up. They're starting to gain momentum, and then somehow they get caught in like limbo. And I think it's because most likely people are like to enter like deals because it's starting to get successful. People want more money, and it gets a little messy. But no, we're confirmed that there is going to be a sequel, so at least we know, our heart can rest easy that it's not going to be stuck in this hellish limbo. At least we can hope. It's still possible, but very unlikely. But I digress. Essentially, the people that made Season 1 and Season 2 have confirmed it. On multiple websites, I found the same thing, where essentially it's going to, they're in production to be making a Season 3, which is fantastic. As far as the release dates go, that's where things are a little bit more up in the air, which is a little bit unfortunate. But yes, Fire Force Season 3 is happening. Love it. As of the release date, the thing is, okay, so here's what I found. Me kind of consolidating a lot of like the articles I've read and the things. So that's what I do basically. I just kind of like, as soon as I finish an anime, I run around and try to find out as much information as I can about what's to come and how long is it going to take to get here and stuff like that. Also, I just like to hear what people think. So I make the same video I look for in a weird way. Anyways, I don't think it is going to come out in 2021, unfortunately. There is maybe a chance that it comes out in the winter, spring thing, but I just doubt that that's the case, because Fire Force is like a really, really well known to being like one of the most aesthetic and visually appealing shows out there, so it takes a long time to, I would assume, get to that point. So I would not expect too much there. So I do think basically it's going to take probably either really, really, really late really late 2021 or 2022. I would say mid-year is the most safest bet. So 2022, middle of the year or summer is probably, at least that's what I would bet on, is when it's going to come out Season 3. And now, I don't want to spoil things, but it does seem like, well, it's kind of, we're probably going to talk about this towards the end, to the very end of the video, but there's still this up in the air kind of thing where Fire Force does not have that much more manga to cover in terms of finishing the thing. So people are speculating that if they wanted to, they could wrap up Fire Force in the 3rd season and make it like a really, really tight anime series that didn't drag on. But with its success, we may see them start to bloat things up and see if we can get 4 more seasons out of it, which I would... Well, if done right, I would be fine with it. If it's done poorly, then no, of course. But that's kind of always the case. But yes, I would say that Season 3 of Fire Force, there's a small chance that it could be at the very, very end of this year. Sure, I feel like it's much better odds to be in the middle of next year, 2022. So just take that with a grain of salt. We don't know when the date is. We just know that it exists. It's in production. And with the show that looks as good as this, people are saying that it's probably going to be in 2022 to maybe early 2023, but I don't know if it would be that far off just because of how successful it is. I don't think they want to let this show burn out or fizzle out, so I do think they would try to keep it pretty close, maybe within a year's cycle of each other. But again, the show looks great, so maybe they want to keep a lot of that production, and it would need more time. So that's all the information we got about Season 3. Basically, it exists, which is more than we can say for a lot of the shows. Only just recently did we get confirmation that they're going to make us an Overlord Season 3 or 4, whichever the newest one would be, which was a little terrifying because I love that show to bits, and I was like, no, please don't let it end here. Give me more. And we're finally getting more. But alas, ladies and gentlemen, I digress. I want to talk to you about the show because I've been having a lot of emotions about Fire Force for a long time. So first things first, I really, really like this show. This show is something that I think is worth watching. Not only because it's beautiful, it is like unarguably one of the best looking animes that's out there visually. It looks crisp, the way they handle color, all of that is amazing. The sound tied to like the explosions and the fire and all that physics tied to it is immaculate. I don't think I've heard one criticism about like the show looks bad. It's like, no. Also, sorry, one segment I wanted to squeeze in before we get into like talking about the season 1, 2, and 3, my thoughts around it. For those guys who are curious about what Fire Force is, because I always forget this is Share Your Grin. For some of you guys, you have no idea what this is. You just know that there's a season 3 now. Essentially, Fire Force is made by the same people who made Soul Eater. Now that's gonna gas you guys up or bring you guys real down. I love Soul Eater, but man, I wish that we got more of that series. Series. Just when it was getting good, nothing. And then they backstabbed us. They kicked us in the balls or in the cooch, whatever the hell. It was a nightmare. They gave us Soul Eater not. Anyways, hurts still to this day. Regardless, yes, it is made by the same person that made Soul Eater, and Soul Eater was fantastic. I love Soul Eater to pieces. I'm sure a lot of you guys have fond memories of it too. We just wished for more and got kind of a backhand. Anyways, but Fire Force is finished. It's concluded. It's not going to be like Soul Eater. But I do think they weirdly like tie some Soul Eater things in with the same kind of like universe as Fire Force. I digress. In Fire Force, the premise is there was an apocalypse, the world built itself back up again, but now with pyrokinetics being kind of the subheader. So now there is a bunch of ideology around fire. Now the reason why there is an ideology around fire is because random people in this city, in the world, essentially, after this great cataclysm happened, things are back to normal, but occasionally people will become infernals, which is essentially just turning on this, like they become like a demon. Think of that. Like they're covered in fire, they're burned to shit, and they become a demon. So they need to create fire soldiers, like kind of like badass amplified firefighters with pyrokinetic abilities. So have you guys ever heard like telekinesis? Well, there's pyrokinesis. Everyone kind of has weird variations of pyrokinesis. Basically superpowers revolving around fire with varying degrees of like cool augmentation. So the main character has got weird bone shit in his feet that makes him be able to fly like jet propellers or like a jet. There's another guy who can control plasma within a sword. There's another guy that can wrap tattoos in himself covered in fire that give him amplified strength. So there's weird shit like that. And it's all very... It leads more on like the same thing as Soul Eater did, which is more like the mystical light show, like a sparkly kind of a vibe, rather than like grounded weird telekinesis. Yeah. Anyway, so that's the world. There are fire soldiers, or the Fire Force is essentially fire soldiers that whenever there's an infernal, they come, they kill it, they put it to rest, and the main character is a new recruit going into the Fire Force. Now, the main character has a very, very awesome backstory. It's a little sad, but long story short, his family died, and basically going through the trauma of this massive loss left our main character with a kind of a quirk or a tweak. But basically, whenever he is stressed out or has any sort of anxiety, he has a hellish smile. Kind of like the idea of like, if you guys have ever been in like uncomfortable position or situations, like at a funeral, some people laugh because they don't know what to do. They're like, in the effort to like kind of try to not, it makes it even harder, and they end up doing it. They end up laughing or smiling or like being all over the place. Yeah. This is basically kind of more or less somewhat like Shinra. Now, as you can imagine, this quirk rearing its head the minute that his whole house burnt down and his mother was killed and his brother was killed. And then there's this kid standing there with a hellish smile who also happens to have red eyes, leads people to think he's a serial killer murderer who's a freak who killed his whole family. Meanwhile, he's the most kind-hearted, good character in the whole show, whose parents loved him and all that stuff, and his mom supported the idea that he becomes a hero. So all that stuff. So he becomes, and this is where like Fire Force has a lot of really, really cool ideas. If you want to see a bunch of cool ideas, watch episode 1. It's fantastic. But yeah, that's essentially the header, and the whole show kind of plays with the idea of like Shinra as a whole being this character who is like the most heroic person ever, but happens to look the most demonic, sinister, and evil. So it's kind of like a cool misdirect slash like the person that, and it kind of makes sense throughout the like overarching theme which I don't want to spoil, in Fire Force, which is like if Shinra is the devil and we're rooting for the devil, then who would the devil take down kind of mentality. So it has a cool story to it. Anywho, yeah, very much worth watching. You can find it just about everywhere. I think Crunchyroll, Funimation, all that stuff, I think it's there. It is great. I would highly suggest it. Go watch it. And now let's talk about the show in all of its glory. And my only kind of gripe with the show that got a little remedied with season 2, and I want to know if you guys see the same thing, but after coming off of shows like Jujutsu Kaisen and whatnot, that show does a really, really good job about conveying a main character and their like motivations, who they are as people, their intricacies, how they react to things, very, very quickly and very, very well done. Whereas in Fire Force, especially season 1, I kind of had a hard time. Like, I loved the design of Shinra. I think Shinra's design is just one of the best out there. I love his like quirk too. I love the ideas that Fire Force season 1 did. But the main character, I feel like for Shinra, I didn't really know who he was. He felt like a little hollow, you know what I mean? Like, I knew he went through some like bad shit as a kid. I knew he has this quirk, which is kind of interesting and endearing, and I know he's kind of a cool powerhouse with the way he kind of attacks things and etc. But I don't know who he is as an individual and what he thinks and what his motivations are and why he does what he does. Well, you kind of know that, but that's more just like, look at the trauma that I went through, and not, this is the soul that I have. And if you watch a show like Jujutsu Kaisen, the main character of that show feels like you understand the self in the main character, whereas Shinra, to me, didn't feel that way. For those of you guys who had the same feelings as me, where you felt like season 1, visually fantastic, very fun, but you had a hard time like sinking into the main character and like really like rooting for him, because you didn't really know who he was. You kind of just felt like he was the guy who screamed that and said, "I'm the blank guy" a lot, and had a cool quirk and a rough backstory, but that was largely it. I would say season 2 helps a great deal with that whole prospect. The reason why is because in season 2, I think the story of Fire Force is written in a way where you slowly start to see things unravel, and it's pretty slow. So by like midway of episode 2, you finally start getting kind of like a bank vault of scenarios where Shinra had to decide something. He had to talk to like a god essentially, and like kind of go through shit in his mind and like kind of figure out where he stands on things. And you get to hear him a little more rationalize things, and you start to understand who he is and how he can kind of cement himself in certain cases, and you start to build like kind of weird personality that is Shinra. But it's over such a long period of time that it does feel like for a long time you're watching a character that just seems like he seems a little like, we know his motivations, but that's the best way I could describe Shinra, at least in season 1 for me. He just felt like an empty protagonist. He just felt like a protagonist where, like, I know your reasons for going to point C, and I know the reason why you want to go to C is because of A, but who you are is missing the point B. So point B of why you enjoy what you enjoy, the thing, like the way you react to things is kind of skewed in a weird way. It's funny because there are instances where things like that kind of happen, like his smile, and you can tell that he has anxiety, but they never really go more into that. But anyways, I love the show for what it's worth. I'm not trying to come after it in a bad way. I just think this is the one crux of the whole show, which is to say a lot. The one crux of the whole show where I felt like that was the weaker point was the main protagonist didn't really cement himself until you get into season 2, and you just have seen him react to things so much that you can infer a lot of his character. But it still could use a lot more work, I think. I think that's the one thing that maybe it's the manga, maybe it's the way they deliver information, but Shinra doesn't really seem like he seems a little hollow. Maybe it's just because I've watched certain shows that do a really good job about like conveying the main protagonist's emotion, thought process. Like I know what he's gonna do before he does it, but it's also earned. It's not like he's a one-trick pony that will always do the one trick. You know, it's like, oh no, this guy's intricate, but even though the author's done such a good job at showing me those intricacies, I still know what he's gonna do before he's gonna do it because I understand the character. I feel like Shinra is missing that element. I think he's like, I'm a hero, he'll save somebody, got it. But what else? Like, what are the other things, you know? All right, so we talked about like how my only criticism for Fire Force really is just that Shinra sometimes feels a little hollow, and as season 2 happened, it got better. But I will say I'm concerned with the rate in which Fire Force keeps introducing questions, which are interesting, but they don't answer them. And I'm worried that they're not going to have enough payout But anyways, like one of the things that I'm curious about, who the hell is Shinra's protector? Because each pillar is needs to be protected, essentially. So the evangelist gives them a protector. We don't know who that is. A part of me thinks that's in some weird way Arthur, because Arthur seems like glued to him, and at every moment where like he's about to die, like I think when he was fighting the weird like mantis guy, like the plague doctor guy in season 2, Arthur kind of just like randomly showed up. And yes, Arthur's an idiot, that's the whole meme, but a part of me is like, yeah. But also, that's another question. Arthur has like a pretty fucked up, sad backstory. like really fucked up, where his parents just dipped. I was like, what is that? That is so not okay. So I wonder what will happen when like Arthur's delusion comes to a close, and I don't know if they'll ever do that though, because maybe it became so entrenched with who he is. But yeah, I would like the idea of like, because also that's the thing, Shinra and Arthur are like very good friends, have known each other for such a long time, and Arthur never once like seen him as what do you call it, like an actual monster. He always knew that he was a good person that just looks like a devil, and that's it. Like he didn't judge him really quickly, which makes Arthur just awesome in general. But yeah, another question is, how the hell are we gonna get Sho back? What the hell is that about? What's with the one scene where the one like maiden, the one that like has to do with electricity, is like crying, and then she looks at the moon, and then it like pivots, and we see the Soul Eater moon? Is that like because they're in the like? Did the evangelist come from like the Soul Eater universe? I don't know. What one of the things that they like in this app, I'm not even sure you guys remember this. What about Shinra's mom? They have this whole thing where like Shinra's like, I'm gonna save my mom and turn her back. There's a lot of questions that need to be answered. So with season 3, I feel like Fire Force may just go down the road where like it becomes 4 seasons, so 2 more seasons we have to get, where they slowly but surely add filler, answer a question, add filler, answer a question, because there is just like, if they don't do that, I feel like season 3 is just gonna be like it's just gonna be like, here are all the answers, bitch. And I'm just like, it's too much, it's so much. Also, man, talk about like Shinra is cool, and they give you like cool moments, but then they introduce, in season 2, they introduce this fucking black dude who is the coolest person ever. It's just like not only is he like a kind person who befriended Shinra just outright, but secondly, he has some of the coolest powers, and the way he utilizes power is so cool. He has like a hoverboard, and he just kills it. It's a hoverboard, which is awesome. He has like just general like cool spells where like he's throwing like fire swords at people. That's wicked. But then he also has another like ultimate form where he like wraps fucking tattoos in his fucking body and just starts beating the shit out of people. Like, to me, like in this whole Fire Force world, that guy earned every bit of his power, it seems like, because he seemed like he built his whole character off of like a video game leveling up system, where the black dude was like, hey, guess what, I need mobility, I'm gonna find a way to utilize my power to get some cool mobility. Guess what, I can fly on this badass board and we're gonna kill it. Awesome. Hey, guess what, I need range, I'm gonna throw fire swords at people. Bang. Hey, also up close and personal combat's pretty prevalent because we're going into fire buildings, we're limited range, all that stuff. Fuck it, let me develop another power. And it weirdly, like, he's patching holes within a system, which most people in Fire Force don't do. They're just kind of like, what if I got even stronger in my one niche to where it bulldozed the other weaknesses? And I'm just like, okay, I guess. But it just does feel a little cheaper. Whereas I feel like that character, I'm like, I bet this guy, I want this guy. Where's his anime? Like, I realize he doesn't have like a cool quirk, but I just think that dude is like, power set is so cool, so developed, and it makes everyone else kind of seem like, what? Like, what the fuck is this? Why is he so fucking on cloud 9 and everyone else sucks ass? It just seems weird. Okay, this is the other gripe I have. Give me a minute. What is with that? We go from like Fire Force, like very, very much like cherishing life, and like also, I guess maybe that's what it was, but like the evangelist also seems to be like in this weird spot, because in season 2, like the beloved brute, who is like the guy who gets shit on constantly in the evangelist one, the brute guy, he fucking like saves Shinra, and Shinra was like, oh, like this is now complicated. Like I like you and I don't like it. But what do you call it, in season 2 also, fucking, they like just start axing people. They just start killing people like left, right, and center the last 3 episodes. And like, what's happening? we were really careful with like people's lives are like important in the sanctity of life and all this. And then we're just out here fucking wrecking people constantly. And it's just like, what's happening? What? God, I'm watching a different show. Man, the last 3 episodes were just like, Jesus. Jesus Christ. A dude gets beheaded. Dude gets fucking beheaded. What? But I think it was also meant to be like, the evangelists are fucked up people. Oh, talking about fucked up people. Oh man, I have never hated someone more than the pink-haired girl, man. I like when they first introduced her, I was like, okay, she seems like an interesting character. And then they just made her like a basic evil person, but also like it worked, because sometimes that doesn't work, because I know you're like, oh, what if this person is just like evil for the sake of being evil? Yeah. But instead, she's like okay, but then gets corrupted like instantly, and then becomes even worse. You know what I mean? Yeah, like the pink-haired chick when her fucking friend, yes, it's a criminal friend, but he was there helping people as well. Regardless, he runs up and tries to like save her, and then she's like, hey, yeah, guess what? For no reason, like none, I'm just gonna kill you. Like, what? What? You are the worst. And the fact that like I was so hoping that I'm hoping in season 3, man, we see. But that's the thing. Shinra's still a bitch. Shinra still don't kill people. He only kills infernals. So I'm waiting for Shinra to be like. And I know it's not gonna happen, but I would love to see Shinra blast a hole through her chest and just be like, yeah, how's the adrenaline now? In fact, I want to go even more sinister with it. I want her to slowly be tortured by Joker, just to really cement it as like, get fucked, trash. Which is weird, because I dislike the pink-haired girl more than I dislike the blonde girl, who is even more sadistic and cruel. But for whatever reason, I still think that maybe just because like the way she betrayed her friends was like super messed up, whereas the one blonde girl is like, well, no, you're kind of fucked anyway, and you've been kind of conditioned to feel this way, so I feel a little less bad. But the one pink-haired girl, it's like, yeah, so I was around a bad fire and I just kind of lost all of my humanity ever. Like, what? What the shit? God. Like, talk about people who like to go skydiving being painted as like the worst individuals ever. Just like, goddamn. I do like this, like, again, the show is like a hive mind, man, like a bank vault of a fantastic ideas. Like the idea that like trauma can cement a bad, like, I can't find the right word, like a tweak, something like a bad like pattern or whatever. Is awesome. The idea that like, okay, there are these 6 pillars that are basically going to be the keys to ending the world and hopefully not ending the world. But also we're going to give them protectors that complement their synergy perfectly. To me, makes sense that maybe possibly Arthur is a pillar, or like a protector, and Shinra is a pillar, so Arthur is his protector. But there's also examples of where like the protector isn't the same as the one thing. Also, man, I don't know how I feel about that. I forgot about that. I forgot about the whole weird Hajime nightmare that was that whole thing where that creep, they're like, it was the weirdest, like, last minute, he's actually not the worst, but he is, but maybe they're perfect for each other, and I'm just like, ugh. It's like, the best way I can describe it is it's like the Joker and Harley Quinn, and people are like, God, they're such a cute couple, and then you see like how abusive the Joker is, and he's just punching Harley Quinn in their stomach, and I'm like, I still feel like it's sick. Okay, I can't help it, it's not okay for me. For whatever's in my head, I'm like, no, stop it. But I will say, in my pursuit to like look around and see some stuff, I also Google searched begrudgingly, does Shinra end up with anybody? It was a lot of nonsense. There's probably gonna be nothing like that in the show. Well, I guess there is, with the weird like redheaded dude and the redheaded girl, like the mechanic. I guess there's that. But anyways, regardless, I don't think they're gonna talk about who Shinra is interested in. I think the nun makes the most sense, but also it doesn't, because she's a nun. But who knows, maybe her faith will get all fucked when they collapse the whole thing because the evangelist is in it. Anywho, I ended up looking into it. Little spoiler here, you may not want to see this. In fact, maybe I shouldn't say it. I know who Shinra's protector is, and it's not who I said it was. So I know, I'll give you that much of a spoiler. It's not It's not him. It's not Arthur, unfortunately, even though it makes the most sense because they complement each other's attack combinations. Yeah, there's so many loose threads, which are interesting, but I almost feel like there's too many loose threads to wrap up in season 3 if they are going to try to finish it there. I feel like it'll be too fast because like almost every episode is just like them unraveling something, like how like we don't even know if the evangelist is like a rat bastard or not. You know what I mean? Like it'd be interesting to hear like Sho's perception of the evangelist, because it almost seemed like the evangelist became Sho's mom, like his surrogate mom, in a weird way. So I'm interested to see that, but again, I don't know how quickly they can cover that. I want to know the pillar thing, who's Shinra's pillar. If there's any sort of like romance thing, that'd be cool to see too. But yeah, man, there's just like too many little threads that need to be like patched and picked up. Oh, I have one more thing that I want to talk to you guys about. My one other criticism, and I don't know if it's valid, but it is a stupid criticism first of all. But I think Fire Force introduces so many cool ideas, and I don't know if we'll ever get the payoff that I want from them. So for instance, when I was watching Fire Force in like the back burner of my mind, kind of like through seeing like clips or like AMVAs or like moments in anime kind of videos, which I watch on occasion, I kind of was subliminally getting bits of it, and I was like, oh, this is really cool, I can't wait to watch a show. But there was a lot of scenes where like they show what they call demons, which are like infernals that are special and they have like superpower kind of level powers. Regardless, when I first seen them, I thought, man, that'd be so cool if like Shinra, who was labeled a demon his whole life, was somehow able to like have, in the same way that it seems like you can kind of convert your power into many different kind of lenses or flows that you know, you could create like it's the same way that the dude who covered himself in flame tattoos could do that, but also throw like fire knives. Hopefully Shinra can do other things. Long story short, I was really hoping, I don't know if we'll ever get it, I would love if like one of the doctors or whatever, maybe there's like an 8th pillar or a 9th pillar basically that makes Shinra unnecessary, so they just want to kill him. Where like they take a bunch of insects and then like shove it into Shinra's mouth or something, and he basically becomes a demon. I'm really, this is not gonna happen probably, but this is the moments where I'm like, I don't think we'll get it, and I think it's such a shame. But I would love if there was a scene where they tried to get Shinra, they made him into a demon, and then still, as a demon, maybe there's like a bunch of demons popping all up at once, too much for like a lot of the guards to handle, but Shinra also becomes a demon and then just starts eviscerating all of them, because even though he's a demon, his will to protect the people is so great that it will kill all of them, just like his mom's will was, she didn't kill Shinra, she just wanted to protect her baby, so even though she was a demon, she didn't lose that pursuit. And we even see other examples of like infernals just sitting there waiting to die because they have such goodwill that they're like, nope, I'm not going to be a monster even in death. I'll be patient and wait for my time, which is beautiful. So I was really hoping that there'd be a moment where like that happens, where like Shinra becomes a demon and then like just starts blitzkrieging fucking all of these demons, and then for there to be this moment, and I thought they would do this, but they didn't. I don't think they will. But like Shinra, like maybe Sho is there or something, or like all the Fire Force is there, and the one like church guy is like coming to execute him, and then maybe the 6 is like, hey, stop, like this is our job, this is our guy, we'll do it. But then maybe for Sho to say something, or for somebody, or Arthur to say something, which has like Shinra basically hit a wall and say, no, like even though I'm an infernal now, I refuse to be a demon. And then like just like his mom, where his mom grabbed her horns and pushed him into her eye socket so that she didn't have to like look, because I think she looked at Adola, so she like went mad. But anyways, if Shinra grabbed his horns and started pulling them and started like cracking his like demon form apart, and slowly started to like reform, like ripping off scale armor basically, and slowly started to rip off the demon. And to me, this would be another cool way to answer the question of how the hell can we like bring people back from infernals, because that was Shinra's thing, is he wants to bring his mom back. So to me, I was like, wouldn't that be a cool way to show that like people have the capacity to supersede their damnation, if you want to call it that way, and who better to do it than who was labeled a demon in the first place, who is the most heroic of all of them. So for Shinra to like rip off this fucking armor, but then also simultaneously in that moment for like the church to try to like quickly kill Shinra, but then for the 8th, not the 6th, the 8th to come in and be like, fuck off, what are you doing? Only to realize that the first is incredibly corrupt, because they don't want, like, if people see that like Shinra is able to come back, then that would mean that all of the death that they did would be meaningless, or purpose or soul would be a cruel god, if anything, which we know is the evangelist. But anyways, to me, I would love if there was a moment like that. And also, this is the other thing, because to me, I feel like Shinra right now needs like a power advantage, because right now he's just like fast and has fire feet and can fly. That's it, you know, whereas the one, like, other characters seem like they have a plethora or like a big utility kit, where Shinra just feels like he's a lot of power behind a tiny force, but that's got him through, which I don't want. I want him to have another like advantage, essentially. So I thought it would be awesome if when he comes out of this, maybe because his friends are like yelling at him to like keep fighting, you know, don't become the demon that everyone's seen in you, you know, stay for show, all that stuff. Who's gonna take care of show, and then for him to basically rip off the demon fucking like scale, or like armor, or scale, or like shell, and like basically step out of it, for his hands to now have like the demon thing, because they show like an x-ray of his legs, and it's like a skeleton around his fucking calf, which is weird. It's like a rib cage near his calf. So I would love if they had that in his arms, so now his arms are also pyrokinetic sources, and that like for the person that can come back from a transformation from a demon, or maybe it's the fact that he is has an Adola burst or whatever, but he comes out with a power advantage and also shows the world that there's another way, and that Adola was wrong, or that like the evangelist or whatever, the religion was somewhat false, and then also for the 8th to realize the first is a bunch of rat bastards who are doing the one thing. Maybe some people in the first also don't agree with what they're doing. Anyways, I would love to see a moment like that. I don't know if we'll get it, just because I know that there's not that much more manga to cover and all that stuff. Also, there was one more thing I wanted to talk about. Oh, right. Another thing I would have hoped, because again, Shinra is not really gaining power advantages in the way that I want him to. It's like he weirdly is like, he gets protagonist power, where like in a split moment, you can touch this and you'll get a boost of power, but don't worry, in the next like couple scenes, you're going to be as weak as you always been. And I'm kind of like, well, that feels unrewarding. That feels like he got out on a trick. You know, he tricked the system and somehow got out. That doesn't give me reassurance or happiness or growth from the character. So I was really hoping that like another thing I thought would be cool for Shinra, in terms of like a power spike, would be for him to like try to go deep. And he kind of does that in the very last episode of season 2, but I would have loved for him to like meditate or something and try to find Adola and to like anchor himself in Adola, because Shinra is able to get stupid good strength if he's able to connect with Adola or the evangelist or something. So to me, I was like, well, why would you try to do that? Why wouldn't you just anchor yourself? Like, you've been to Adola, you can go to Adola, it seems pretty relatively easily. Why would you not try to find a way to go to Adola and like find a crack in this world that you can hide in, so the evangelist doesn't come and like kick you out, or like that you can create a source in that thing, so that way you can basically activate or even share Adola with your team. So the evangelist is acting as like kind of a source for her people. Why not let Shinra go through a training arc or something where he actually anchors himself to Adola and then can give, maybe it's like a reset, or like when people start gassing out and they're losing power, he can quickly like teleport them to Adola, build up their energy again, their fire energy, and then like bring them back to the normal world. And now you have like a whole new thing. And then Shinra's like wrecked, because he's basically bringing people in a weird way to Adola to recover and then leave again, or sharing the power of Adola, or whatever could be coming from that, which would be really cool as well. From like, if the evangelist is this amazing being that is gaining power from Adola, this other realm, wouldn't it be also cool as this benevolent angelic figure for there to be a demon-like figure as well to come in and show that like, wait, I'm the true ruler of hell. I'm going to suck up some of this power, bring it back, and fight you with your own power. I'm better than you can even wield it. That to me would be really cool. I don't know if we'll see any of these things. When I was watching the show, I'd be like, wouldn't this be fun? I'm not sure if it'd be good or make sense. I just think it'd be a fun thing to see with this character, because I feel like a lot of times with this character, we're kind of hitting walls that are fun, but they're just not, like Shinra's power advantage. Shinra hasn't had a power spike in a long time, and if it is, it's like, I can go faster. And I'm like, oh my god, it's so crazy. Anywho, and then you see the one dude again. The one dude wrecked it for me in a weird way, in a good way. The dude who the black dude who was in the one thing could fucking put Norse badass tattoos on him, throw fire swords, have a hoverboard. Like he had so much utility and so much like grip on everything. And then I'm just like, well, Shinra can shoot flames from his feet and go quick, or do a burst of damage from his feet as well. I'm like, wow. Neat. Okay. But then when he links with the Dola, he gets like a stupid huge surge of power, right? So I thought like maybe there was some sort of arc where he's trying to like create an anchor in a Dola for himself, whether that's like trying to befriend the blonde girl who's in a Mataratsu or whatever, or a Maturatsu. I can't say it, but you get the point. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, don't mean to talk your ear off. Let's answer the last question about Fire Force, which is what should we expect to have in season 3? So at the end of season 2, we know that the one dude got like brutally assassinated. Like again, it went from like 0 to 100 in the last 4 episodes of like torture, death, brutal death, violence. Shinra sucks also. They didn't really have, which is good that he finally got like another power advantage at the very end, if he's able to tap into that. Anyways, maybe he did find an anger to Adola with the whole death sense, or the death's presence or something. Okay, just to give like the slightest hint of what the next part of the show is going to be about, most likely, is apparently, well, the thing is that like it feels like we still have a lot of the show to go through, but people are saying that like there's only so many mangas. So what that would lead me to believe is that the next couple issues of the manga that they haven't covered yet are them getting the next pillars, because we're still missing like 3 or some odd pillars. So that's probably going to be the thing. But in season 3, most likely we're going to be basically getting like a badass war arc, which that seems to be what we were prepared for in season 2, but that seems like what we're going to be getting a lot in the future. It's not going to be like this weird like Company 7, let's try to win them over. Oh, Hajime Industries or McA-hole or whatever they're called. It's going to just be no. All of that's set in place now. All the busy work is done. Now we're just going to chew forward. Just going to battle after battle, fight after fight, all that. That's what generally season 3 is going to be about. I don't want to spoil things too much, just for people, just to give them a warning. But yes, season 3 should be an all-out battle with the what do you call it, the evangelists and whatnot. But I still do think we have a good bit to go through, because again, the whole thing is the Doomsday Clock still has to have enough pillars to do a lot of damage, and in the meantime they're just trying to gain time, disrupt the Fire Force enough to where they can eventually have all the pillars and set the world aflame. But we're still pretty far away from getting all the pillars, but yeah, so expect that sequencing to take place in that way. Anywho, now for people who really want to get into the weeds and to get like spoiled to some extent, I'll tell you that Arthur thing. For people who really don't care about the spoiler thing, or not Arthur thing, I'll tell you who Shinra's pillar is. It's Joker. Who'd have thought? Yeah, it's Joker, which kind of makes sense, because after the season 2 arc, we found out that the one weird masochist guy or status guy is works with the one kid. It makes sense that your pillar is, but I don't know why Joker. Oh, I do know why. Okay. Yeah, no, that makes sense. Okay, yeah, so Joker is the perfect synergy with Shinra, not necessarily because he's melee or anything like that, but because Shinra is incredibly just and will never kill and will never do that. Joker is his inverse. Joker is his patching his weaknesses. Joker will kill. Joker will do what needs to be done. Joker is like the rogue hero. If Shinra is the pure hero, Joker is the anti-hero. And they kind of take care of each other. I think they know that both are necessary for the world. Well, maybe Shinra doesn't know that, but I don't know. Anyways, I did see this one thing in the manga. I don't know if we'll get to it yet, and this is the one thing that I'm not a fan of, but I don't think we'll get to it anytime soon. So I don't think this will be in season 3. If it'll be at the tail end of it, because it's 24 episodes. The last 2 seasons have been, so we can infer that it's probably going to be another 24 or maybe 48. and just have a big ass one last season. Regardless, there's a weird moment where like Shinra gets a time jump of 3 months, but he's not himself. He's not in his body, which I don't like. It's like a weird fucking like, it was all a dream, but wait, I still unintentionally caused suffering, and I'm not a fan. If that's what I know, it is a thing. It's in the manga, but I don't know if I like that. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I can't really find too much more, to be honest, about what's in season 3, because apparently with the way they've been covering things, they've kind of done a pretty good job at staying on the manga's like process, but they kind of jumped around a little bit. But essentially, again, bottom line is we need to unlock more pillars in order for the story to progress. In the last scene of season 2, we did see that there's everything's set in stone, and now the fighting is going to take place. I do believe, in fact, I remember reading somewhere where it was saying something like it's going to kick off really fast, where everyone's going to start gunning it and fighting again. Pretty close to the wire, like as soon as the season 3 starts, more or less. It's going to be now that like what do you call it, immediately starting the battles and the fights and all these things. But ultimately we'll have to wait and see. I don't want to give you too much for season 3. Also, I don't know a lot, to be just completely frank. I'm doing my best. But yes, essentially can't wait for season 3. It's right along the horizon. Let me know what you guys thought about season 2 and 1. Again, I didn't want to harp too much on the negatives of season 1. Again, and also I do think season 2 did a much better job about like showcasing Shinra and his character, actually, you know. So hopefully season 3 just does more of that. Hopefully we save cute Sho, we save his mom, we power up Shinra in more than just, like, you know, giving him a different color of fire, because that was what the death sense seems like it is. Hopefully it's more than that. It may not be. It's a little, it's just could be a my negative. And also hopefully, again, it would be cool to see some of those things, because I think there's certain tropes that would be really cool to see. Like, again, I thought it'd be really poetic for like the demon himself to become a demon and then come back, showing people that a core foundation of their whole world is wrong, and simultaneously showing that his will to be a hero is greater than his look to be a demon. Yeah, but anyways, also it could kind of be like a good middle finger to the evangelists as well, kind of like to deny God and their will. You carve a path forward for humanity. Anywho, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. I hope you guys do enjoy the rest of your day. Again, I do want to hear about what you guys think about this show, because I love it a bit. I want to know where you guys think it will go. And maybe if anyone of you guys who actually are up to date on the manga, the reason why I don't want to spoil myself too much is because I haven't been reading the manga, and I don't want to do that just yet. So if you guys are aware of where the plot could go, could you please slightly, gently tease out what season 3's plot might very well be, just for people who want to get into the nitty gritty, but still kind of be vague. We're not trying to like destroy the outcome. We're just trying to tantalize people to some extent. But I digress. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. Hope you guys do enjoy the rest of your day. Subscribe button's over there. Thank you once again, and goodbye.